Welcome back, welcome back, welcome back. We are here for day 2 of the Electronic Entertainment Expo, also known as E3. Once again, I am your host, Marcus Flowers, aka Flo, aka call me what you want, just don't call me lazy. And of course, once again, I am joined by my co-host.
Y'all know who it is, Metro Meta, he who stands above all else.
Yes, and before we really do a deep dive into it, Meta, how was your overall expectations of day 2 of E3?
I definitely thought we were coming into a stronger day.
Okay.
We had Ubisoft, which they've been off it for years now, and then we had was it Gearbox? And I was just like, they weren't heavy hitters. Today we're like, okay, we're getting into a platform holder. They have a brand new system out there they're trying to sell. So I definitely knew that Xbox was coming out the jump with some bangers. They were definitely trying
Yes. And before we even go any further, make sure if you haven't already, you listen or you watch our day 1 recap of E3. That is where we talk about Gearbox and the Ubisoft Ubi Forward showcases, and we give our opinions on that. So without further ado, let's get right into it. So
Let's start with Xbox.
I know. That's what I just got a text message. I'm sorry. Let's jump right in. I have a 4-letter word for you. It's the H, the A, the L, the O. Halo Infinite. The only reason why I would ever even touch an Xbox. Actually, Halo is the only reason why I bought an Xbox in my past life. For 20 years, Xbox has made its name with Halo, and now is the opportunity that Xbox has to go even further. So Xbox is turning 20 years old. That's actually kind of crazy when you think about it, right?
I mean, they've been around.
It's just like overall, it's just like really shocking to think that Xbox has been around for 20 years.
Well, it shows because they definitely. How do you feel about the show overall before we get into nitty?
So I feel like I was on such a high after that Gearbox presentation, and I felt like, oh man, this is fresh, this is new. I like Gearbox University, sign me up for enrollment. And Xbox presentation, I was like, okay, I see it. We're back to just showcasing our games. But I thought overall it was a very great showcase.
It was a more when I look at the Xbox showcase, it was very more closely aligned with what people are used to when it comes to like E3 showcases. Like this flashy, we got 30 games, y'all gonna run this. And I felt like to a certain extent it works because it's like, wow, Xbox got all these games.
Right.
But then looking back, even just a couple hours later, it's like there's like 5 games I remember.
Right.
Of them I would actually purchase.
And
they didn't get in depth with it.
And the thing about Xbox is they gave us a lot of like filler games, but they didn't have that one title that would have really like put them over the top. I was expecting an Indiana Jones, more updates about that game, but they gave us a lot of side games and games like, oh, here's this game, here's this update, here's this other game, here's this other game. But they didn't really give us a game that would have launched them to a higher standing with myself, other than one title, and that's Halo. But they kicked it off. They said, hey, we're turning 20 years old, and this is how we're celebrating it. We're celebrating it with Starfield.
Can we stop right there? Stop right there with Starfield.
Okay.
There's something I want to get off my chest. I've always hated the Bethesda presentation.
We actually
found out that Microsoft had purchased Bethesda. I was so happy because I have never cared for a Bethesda game in my life. And now they freed up one night on the E3. That is the greatest thing that happened. That is such a mid-tier studio. I don't even know why you'd want to purchase them. Thank you, Microsoft, for taking that off my hands. Okay,
Uh,
none of it will be missed, and I do not care that all their games are exclusive. All right.
okay. So actually, we actually skipped the lead point. So it wasn't just the Xbox showcase, a Microsoft Xbox showcase. It was an Xbox Bethesda showcase. And how did you feel
Although
about?
if I'm one of the other partners of Microsoft, I'm feeling some type of way that Bethesda just got here, and their name's already next to Microsoft. Like,
Really?
games been launching Forza every year for the past what, maybe half a decade, 5 years at the least. My name don't get put in the title.
Well, I think this is because Bethesda actually became Microsoft. Like Bethesda is its own studio, but it just became in house. And so, like as like you're another studio, you're not necessarily under the Microsoft umbrella. As in, Bethesda is exclusively under the Microsoft umbrella, and they're
No,
going
but like
to.
Microsoft's been purchasing tons of studios for these past few months. They're all under the Microsoft umbrella. What makes Bethesda so high that they get to be in the E3 title? Because none of the other developers they purchased were in the E3 title. The creators of Hellblade, Team Ninja, I think it was, they weren't there, even though they also weren't there. Playground Games, they've never been in the E3 title. To me, it just seems upsetting because it sort of be like if Sony announced that they were having their own event, their own E3 event, and they called it the Sony and then in the Insomniac event. If I'm Gorilla or Naughty Dog or Ben Studio, I'm like, what did these people just got here? What did they do to put their names in the title?
Well, they will. Their explanation was Xbox and Bethesda are one team, and so I think that's what the difference is. As each studios are their own different entity, as with Bethesda, they are one with Microsoft. So I think that's the difference.
That's still messed up.
All right,
But getting back to
let's
Starfield,
talk about Starfield. How did you feel about that game?
I mean, all they did was show a space teaser. Like I
Right.
cut out
Uh,
the same thing from good and evil, get the same
the
result.
the one thing about Xbox is they're gonna give you some shooter games. If nothing, you're gonna get some first person shooter games.
But I think in this event, they tried their best to have other examples of different types of games that people could connect to, because that's what they need. That's what
Yeah,
Sony and I think Microsoft now, with the Switch's success, are noticing like, dang, we need more diversity in the type of games that we're adding to our platforms.
I know they kicked it off with a shooting game and they ended with a shooting game.
I mean,
Uh,
they
but
tried.
but of course after that there was Stalker 2.
That looked good.
It did look good, and it's an Xbox PC crossplay with 4K resolution and ray tracing.
Stalker 2 looked like the most next gen game in the show, honestly.
Right. No,
And
I completely agree. And I
from
feel
what I hear, it has a really good fandom. So I know they're happy right now.
yeah, and as you're talking about how it looks like the best next gen game, it is in my opinion is also the best game that they showcased that is for the Xbox Series S and the Xbox Series X. And it comes out April 28th, 2022. Next up was a Warner Brothers game. It is a 4-player co-op, human versus zombie, Back for Blood. Now I know
The industry continues to remind Steam that people want another Left 4 Dead, and Steam continues to not listen to the industry. And at this point, I think developers are just going to start just knocking down their doors and saying, "Let us in. We're going to make this right now."
Yeah, and I think I know you are not you're not necessarily a horror games player, but I am, and I do think Back for Blood will be a very good game, and that comes out next October 12th, 2022. I will be purchasing that, but it will be through the PS5. Oh wait, it will be through the PS5. It just releases on Xbox first.
So it's going to be about a year till it hits.
Yeah, yeah. Um, But next up, talk about this other Xbox exclusive through Avalanche Studios. It is the co-op open world. We didn't see a lot of it. It was called Contraband.
Avalanche is good. They're a good developer. They made the Just Cause series, I think.
Yeah.
People like co-op. I've never liked it, but people like co-op. It should be good. It should be good. We have faith. We have faith. Sea of Thieves news.
Yeah. So this is the part of the presentation where I was like, I'm over it. This is like, I guess, Sea of Thieves: A Pirate's Life comes out June 22nd. What did you think overall about it?
Sea of Thieves came out and it was awful. It got dogged on. It had nothing to do. And people were like, they worked on this game for 4 years. What were they working on? And I tend to agree. Again, Rare, another studio that Microsoft has purchased that they fumbled the bag on. You got Banjo Kazooie, you got Conker's Bad Fur Day, and they've been having them making them like basically test puppets for the past few years. They finally put out a game. Of course, it's a multiplayer game because now they're under Microsoft. It was trash. They've been working to build it up. It has a great community behind it, and clearly, they're getting some more numbers in. But I'm like, how many times are we gonna keep taking these studios, buying them, and then have them make something they're not comfortable with?
But with Sea of Thieves, A Pirate's Life comes out June 22nd. I will say that I just wasn't as impressed with it because I felt like there was another gear that they should have been able to hit with this presentation, and they just never did it.
Yeah. Moving on from Sea of Thieves, we have Battlefield 2042. That game looked crazy.
Well, before that, Like a Dragon of the Yakuza series, that is available day one on Xbox Game Pass. And I will say, and actually, they also presented the entire Yakuza series will be available is available right now on Xbox Game Pass. How did you feel about that announcement?
That's actually very good. The Yakuza series, it's an infamous JRPG series. I've played a little bit of Yakuza 0. What I've played of it, I liked. I just never have the energy to go back to it. Right. So having that on their service is very good and very catering towards the fan base that they're missing, which is that JRPG Japanese audience.
Right. And like you said, I think this could be said about a lot of games that they showcased today. You said you just didn't feel like going back and finishing it. And I feel like with a lot of these games that they released today, it's going to be a lot like that, at least from my opinion as a consumer. Like, I'm not going to be in a rush to finish Battlefield 2042.
Well, you don't have to be in a rush because Battlefield 2042 does not have a single player.
Yes, and it comes out October 21st, 2022. How did you feel? How did you feel about that gameplay? I think at this point of the showcase, I started to feel a little I was over the shooting games. Like at this point, I was like, okay, it's like you guys have like Sea of Thieves, you have this, you have the Yakuza, but yet you're showing me again, this is like the 6th shooting game you have shown me in a 20-minute span. That says to me like y'all didn't really plan this out well.
I mean, but it's again, one, shooting games are the main games that they make nowadays, and also that appeals to the Xbox core audience. When it comes to Battlefield 2042, it looked really intense. It's gonna have 128 player maps on PC and next gen consoles, but also it's only a multiplayer game. That's going for $70, by the way, and will be dead in a year. Well, so I'm like, this is not selling me. It's not selling me on this. Why are we doing this? At this point, I'm asking, why do we continue to release multiplayer only games at full ticket prices and not just make them free to play? Between Paladins, Fortnite, and Among Us, there's ample proof that a business model based on either selling this for a very cheap price or just letting out for free is not only possible to happen, but is profitable And yet EA still out here like, oh yeah, we're still gonna have our season pass ticket, but we still want your $70. What? Why? Why am I paying 70
Right.
for a
And it's
storm?
just like I think even though $70 is a lot, I'm not saying it's not. I think that is the new industry standard when it's going to come to gaming from now on, just because of how much of a process it is to get these games out and the material that they're putting in. So I feel like this is just going to be the new normal.
But they're gonna have to, because already at the $60 price, people still complain. So
Right.
they're gonna have to start
You
showing
remember
more
people were
innovation.
complaining. People were complaining back in mid 2000s when games were $50, and so but people got with that. People complained when they were $60. So I think it's just the gradual increase, the gradual inflation that people are upset about. But sadly, this is just a new reality.
Yeah, but I think there's going to be. I definitely think that these new $70 games are going to be on more razor's edge margins, and they're going to have to really perform well in order for them to be profitable. Because again, this is
No, for
Battlefield,
sure.
which let's think about Battlefield the past 5, 6 years. The most biggest hype Battlefield ever got was Battlefield 1 when they went back to World War One while COD was going to space.
Right.
And even then, COD still outperformed them, and that's the most hated COD game. So you're really gonna have to put something good in here, Dice, if you want me to purchase.
Right. But lastly, let me ask you: will you be purchasing Battlefield 2042?
Not at full price, I can tell you that.
Okay, cool. Next up is something that really piqued my interest. I don't know about you. It was called 12 Minutes, which releases August 19th, 2021. This is an interactive video game, a lot like not Last of Us. It is like a lot like Last of Us. Not Last of Us.
No, because this is one of those games that it's like Minute. That do you remember the game Minute?
Yeah, yes.
The game where you get a minute to work, and it's sort of a lot like it's like Outer Wilds and Minute. These sort of time-based games where you go in and you do it for like 12 minutes and then you restart, but with the information you already know. It's a very interesting like gaming mechanic ideal to design your game around, and I definitely feel like it has a lot of potential to make this sort of interesting. Like you got a minute, you get in, you get out, and we saw this with Outer Wilds, telling this story over the course of several like seconds, and I think that is going to be the selling point for this. We've seen 12 minutes several times, although I don't think we ever got like a discourse or discussion about what sort of game it is. So I'm definitely interested to see what exactly this game plays like.
Right, right. No, but would you cop 12 minutes?
No, just because it's on Xbox now. Maybe when it comes off, if it's good, if it got that hype.
No, for sure, for sure. But the last game before they really got into the next part of the presentation, I called you about getting the name of this game. It was called
Psychonauts.
Yes, Psychonauts. So I saw a comment on Twitter that said Psychonauts doesn't even look better than Ratchet and Clank, and I tend to agree with that. For Xbox and Microsoft to be the PC, the forward, we have all this RAM, we have all these capabilities to give you a better product, a better content. I was not very impressed with the showcasing of Psychonauts.
Well, Psychonauts has a lot to live up to just on a gameplay perspective. The Psychonauts franchise, it's a legacy franchise. It was again, I think it was like Rare or someone. They did a lot. Tim Schafer, I think, yeah, Tim Schafer. They created the Psychonauts. It's one of the most beloved old platformers there is. And originally, Marcus, I don't know if you know this, it started out as a Kickstarter. It started out as a Kickstarter, and then Microsoft picked up the publisher Double Fine, and that's how we got Psychonauts 2 on Xbox exclusive. Right. So it's been in development for quite some time, and it was originally under development for like the original Xbox PlayStation. They probably had dreams of putting it on the Switch at that point. So I think it suffers from that from a publishing perspective of this was originally Kickstarter. We've been working on this for so long. The ideal is a little bit old. And I think in general, I think Microsoft wants Double Fine put this out so that we can move on and get to doing what we want to do with you.
No, for sure. So before we get into the Xbox Game Pass and Bethesda, what games really stood out to you on just during this first part of this presentation? Like, if you could give me your top 3 games from this first part of the presentation, what would they be?
Probably Yakuza, Psychonauts, and Stalker 2, but I wouldn't actually play Stalker 2.
Okay, so I would go with Stalker 2, Back for Blood, and I guess like a Dragon, Yakuza. I feel like those are going to be really big games. I also think they're going to be a lot of streaming. They're going to be good streaming games as well, such as like Stalker 2 and Back for Blood. Those are going to be games where a lot of streamers like, hey, follow me along as I play through Stalker 2. I think like we're going to get a lot of that. Next up, this is probably their crown jewel because they said, hey, we have our own Game Pass. This is what we're going to do. So they said 30 Bethesda games on Xbox Game Pass.
I mean, that was inevitable. That was part of the reason why they purchased Bethesda, so that they could add their library to Game Pass.
Well, the first game they started out with was Doom Eternal. And let me tell you, Doom Eternal, it's not that good. If you tell me, yeah, we got Xbox Game Pass, y'all want to know what we starting off with? Doom Eternal. That already turns me off because Doom Eternal was not a good game.
I mean, I think you're over exaggerating it. It's pretty.
Not at all. But yeah, no. Talk about. So there was 3 games that they really started off with: Doom Eternal, Fallout 76, and Skyrim, which turns 10 years old, which is crazy. So
right here. Let's discuss. Who is still playing Fallout 76? Look at me and tell me who is still playing this game. Why do you hate yourself? Why do you hate your? It was awful when it came out. It had months. It was like 3 months of bad press. That game was only stopped getting bad press when Anthem came out. And if you need Anthem to save your post-release cycle, you're already not in the conversation. Yahtzee Croshaw literally said, oh, they're going to patch in a Battle Royale mode as a joke, and they did it. And it was still trash. It still is trash. Who is excited for these expansions? They want to talk about, like, oh, most downloaded game on Game Pass. Who bought Game Pass and was like, I'm going to get Fallout 76? It might burn my PlayStation or my Xbox down. Let's see. Come on. Fallout ain't got that hype. It doesn't have that hype.
I will say one thing that also disappointed me was Skyrim 10 when they were like, yo, Skyrim turns 10. Log on to Skyrim10.com and leave comments. And I was like, wait, that's it? Like, no updates, we're gonna celebrate later in the year. And it's like, I get that we are currently coming out of a pandemic and developers probably didn't have the bandwidth to produce as much as normal. But for them to know about Skyrim 10 for 10 years, and the best thing they can do is a comment website, I'm like, okay, that is insane.
What else could you do with it? They've remastered Skyrim. They ported Skyrim to everything, literally everything. They ported it to in-home speakers, Alexa. They ported it to the Nintendo Switch, PlayStation 4, Xbox. It's been on literally every single console for the past 10 years. There's nothing else you can do with Skyrim. Nothing else. They can't put it anywhere else. The only thing they can do now is wait for Elder Scrolls 6 to be done in 10 years. And so, like...
Oh, we're going to get to Elder Scrolls Online.
Not online. I mean 6. The next one that they announced, like, maybe 2 years ago, that's not coming out till, like, 2026.
But next up, so your favorite game, Fallout 76. You have Fallout 76 Extradition, The Pit. You have Fallout 76 Steel Rain. So you're getting more downloadable content through Fallout 76.
Yay! Y'all don't drop that game.
Elder Scrolls Online. You can play that day one on Xbox Pass. Party Animals. How'd you feel about that?
I mean, I'm fairly sure they probably already had it. Elder Scrolls Online is weird because like it to me it sounds like they were trying to make the ultimate Elder Scrolls experience. I don't know if they achieved that. I would be interested to see how like the community, they clearly have a large one, but you don't hear about it as much. Honestly, I think that's what they're doing till the next Elder Scrolls game is ready.
Right. No, for sure. Next up, this was probably one of my highlights of their entire presentation. Hades, the game of the year of last year, that got all kinds of awards, is coming not only to Xbox but also to PS5. I saw a comment from OG Johnny 5 who said, I'm throwing my Switch away now. I have no reason for it. Once Hades comes on to this platform, I think this is a very great thing. This is an amazing thing for something like this to happen to Xbox, and I feel like this is a great opportunity for them to further build out their audience.
I mean, it's Supergiant Games. They're kings of indie. When they speak, everyone listens, and they said this game was going to be good. Everybody knew it was going to be good. It came out. It was good. And so really, if I'm Supergiant Games, this is a layup for me. This is extra money for my next big project, which we all know is going to be a banger. So
right. Next up, Somerville, that's here and there. But my favorite part of the presentation, I said it when we started. I'm gonna say it again. It's the H, the A, the L, the O. Halo Infinite will be a multiplayer, and it's through Xbox and PC this holiday of 2021. And so not only will you have the opportunity to play with your Xbox friends, you'll also have the opportunity to crossplay with your friends on PC. My biggest concern with multiplayer with Halo is that the progress that multiplayer games have made, I hope Halo will be able to stay that course as well.
Yeah, I mean, it's their system seller. I will say it is telling that they gave us a date for Starfield, which is what, a year, 2 years out?
Right.
And Halo Infinite's coming out this winter, and they didn't give us a date.
Well, I just think it's coming out later, but I just think they knew that they had to get it right with Halo.
After their last showcase where everybody clowned on them, they had to do something.
Right. So they had, and I feel like if Halo isn't good, the Xbox Series X is a bust. Like that's where I'm at. That's where I'm at with it. If Halo sucks or is trash, it gets trash or has like a Cyberpunk 2022 type of reaction. This Xbox generation is going to drown, and you cannot. And we've seen like with Cyberpunk, you won't be able to restore that good fate with another good game. So I feel like if Halo isn't good, that's it for Xbox. Like they have a lot right. They have so much writing on this. Like this is their bread and butter. This has been their bread and butter for 20 years. So if this doesn't work, then that's it.
But see, here's the thing with the whole Halo bust. Like, yes, Halo is ingrained in Microsoft. It's built in there. But like, they really need to work on building up other franchises to be those 10 posts. You see this with Sony, where they had Horizon Zero Dawn has become a 10-pole franchise. It got to book in their release, their announcement of the PS5. It gets its own discoveries, its own like directs. We see it with God of War that gets its own directs. Same thing with Ghost of Tsushima. PlayStation's very big on They don't actually keep a tentpole franchise. They build up for a few years. We Gucci, and then they leave it alone. They did that with The Last of Us and Ratchet and Clank and many of their other franchises. Nintendo has multiple tentpoles. They got Pokemon, Zelda, Mario, and then when you get to Xbox, it's Halo.
Yeah.
They need something else. And I'm thinking, looking at this show, I didn't see another game in here made by a Microsoft studio that could fit that description. Maybe Fable.
Well, hold up. What about this game we're going to talk about next? It is an 8-player co-op. You may know it as The Devil, but Diablo 2.
But that's not made by Microsoft.
This is very true. But
it's made by Blizzard.
Do you think Diablo will be able to carry Microsoft?
Diablo don't need Microsoft. Diablo's part of Blizzard's big thing.
So how did you think overall about Diablo 2? I wasn't a fan of it, but I do get the appeal.
It looks good. I mean, come on. The Diablo fandom has hurt enough. You know, between the Diablo mobile announcement and Diablo 3 being delayed into who knows when, they deserve this. They deserve this. Give it to them on a silver platter. Come on now.
Right. So next up, A Plague Tale 2, Requiem, 2022. That's coming out in 2022. I think that will be another good game that will service that niche fan base that Xbox has.
I mean, A Plague Tale, in a sense, when it came out, was very good. So I think this one should be just as good, you know, tell the right stories.
No, for sure. And next up, talk about Far Cry 6. We talked a little bit about it yesterday. Just give our viewers a little bit more of what you thought, since you saw a different part of Far Cry 6 today than yesterday.
We saw a bit more combat today. It still looks interesting. They still have that whole like villains arc thing going on. I don't know. I feel like Far Cry is still trying to find its footing, but we'll see. We'll see.
Yeah, 6 games in, it's kind of hard to find your footing. I think they found it. I think at this point they found what works for them. It may not work for you as a video gamer, but I feel like they found their niche and they're gonna run with it.
Yeah.
Next up, slime. What was it? Slime
Rancher 2, baby. I actually played the first Slime Rancher. I played a lot.
What did you think about that? And would you play the second one?
Oh yes, this is day one. Day one, not on Xbox. I'm gonna get on Steam, but day one, Slime Rancher 2. It was so good. It's so much fun.
Okay, cool. Next up, we have been robbed. We have been bamboozled. We've been finessed because instead of giving us another SSX game, which we have been begging for years, they decided to hit us with another snowboard and skiing game called Shredders. Shredders releases in December of 2021. I feel like this will be a great holiday game. This is a great family game, but it is not SSX. So I feel like if you want to piss on me and tell me it's raining, then do that. Don't tease me. Don't tease me with any snowboarding, any ski game. If it's not SSX, I don't care. I don't even care about it. Like, at this point, just say that you hate me as a consumer. Like, that's where I'm at with it. Like, somebody needs to call EA and say, hey, if you love us, put SSX back out there. We need it for not only for the culture, but for our sanity. You've seen the type of year that we have had. Put this classic game back on platforms, especially with this new generation, with larger RAM, with better graphics, better content. But just do it. Just help us out. What more? How much? Why do we need to suffer through another game that's not SSX? Why?
Because EA don't care about nobody.
Right.
Look, when you figure out how to put microtransactions into a snowboarding game, then EA might listen.
Right. Once again, Shredders will be coming out this holiday season. Next up was Atomic Heart. I was starting to prepare for another podcast, so I didn't really get that. Could you tell me? Did you see more about Atomic Heart?
It was sort of a weird mixture of Bioshock and open worldiness and the Soviet Union. It looks interesting. It reminds me a lot of Metro, the Metro franchise,
Right.
but like more mystical. I feel like it has enough interesting ideals that they're gonna tell a really great story if they can pull it all together.
Right. So next up, this is a game that I was not checking for, but it definitely piqued my interest. Replace. I thought that the gameplay looked good. It comes out in 2022. Do you have anything to add?
I mean, it's a platformer, which is different, a
Right.
sci-fi platformer. So I feel like they're coming at it from a very interesting angle, and it should be good.
No, for sure. Let's just run through. We have they had their off titles now. They had the Among Us update will release June 15th.
That's sus.
The Eodin Chronicles 100 Heroes and Rising. That comes out later this year. The Ascent, another shooter game. Another shooter game from Xbox. Age of Empires 4. I did not know this game was still happening, but here we are. The Outer Worlds 2. This actually looks very appealing.
Yeah,
that comes out sometime in 2022. What'd you say?
I played a little bit of the Outer Worlds too. It's actually pretty good.
Okay, and this is the part of the Xbox presentation where they threw on their American flag. They put on their Make America Great Again hat. They popped open a Budweiser and said, hey, it's MAGA time. And they gave us Flight Simulator.
What?
They gave
what
us
is that analogy?
Forza Horizon 5.
Which takes place in Mexico.
They gave us exactly. Okay, let me ask you this. Would you pay $70 for Flight Simulator?
I mean, I wouldn't, but I don't have people like Flight Simulator. They've been asking for Flight Simulator to be on the Xbox for a whole year.
Would you pay $60, $70 to drive a car through Mexico?
I mean, I don't play driving games because I'm
so actually. When we're talking about this game, when we're talking about Forza Horizon 5, one of the things that really pissed me off was when they were doing the test drive, the gameplay, and they said, hey, stop real quick. Look at that mural. That mural is by this artist. And I was like, look, I don't really care. Just give me the game. Like, that's what I'm here for. I'm not here to look at the murals. If I'm in a race, I'm not going to be looking at sites.
They're trying to show you the details.
Nah. And they ended it with they ended the Xbox with Redfall, which is an Xbox exclusive, and it comes out in summer 22. Now Redfall actually looks very good. I liked it. If anything, I would get Redfall. I would get an Xbox Series S because of Redfall.
I mean, shout outs to Arcane Studios. Now, Marcus, I know you don't know them, but they are some pretty historic developers. They made it's not The Descendants. I forget what it's called, but they recently are going to be releasing Deathloop, which is a PS5 exclusive that stars 2 black characters. They had a Black Queen up in Redfall, and they had another DLC that centered around another female black character. They're a really talented studio, and they were acquired from Xbox. They're acquired to Xbox through their purchase of Bethesda. And it seems like they're trying to aim themselves to be the best part of that acquisition. They're trying to be the Insomnia Games of Xbox. And I am with it if Arcane's down to put the work in.
Right. So overall, what would you give the Xbox presentation?
It was a good 8 or 9. 8 or 9.
I would give it a 6.5 out of 10 just because too many shooter games. Like we talk about diversity in characters, but I feel like with Xbox, it's a lot of the same thing. And I feel like with these shooter games, that kind of hit me over the head with it. So it wasn't anything I wasn't expecting. I just wanted, if I wanted something different, I would not go to Microsoft Bethesda. Here is just the update from yesterday. If you remember yesterday, we bigged up Todrick Hall, who is the person who has the exclusive content with Just Dance 2. He's canceled now because he said this tweet: slavery worked. They hoped we'd still be here today fighting and trying to take down our own. We proved them wrong. Capital letters, uplift your own. So let me just say, because I bigged this person up yesterday. My bad, y'all. That was my bad. I shouldn't have did that. That was my fault. I take all the props I gave to him. I take it back and I throw it in the river with Killmonger and the rest of our ancestors who would rather die than to be enslaved. So that was my bad, y'all. Next up, I missed this part because I was recording a podcast, but Meta is going to lead us, and I'm gonna just bounce off of him with the Square Enix news. I heard about the new Marvel game that I will be chiming in about. So yeah, take it away.
All right, so Square hit us with a lot of things. I think overall they had a great idea and a great heart when it came to planning theirs. Because compared to Microsoft, where it's cinematic trailer after cinematic trailer after cinematic trailer after cinematic trailer after cinematic trailer, they're like, no, let's slow this down. Let's actually talk to these people about our games. I think in some ways it worked for them, and in other ways it kind of backfired on them. They started out big, and they did a Guardians of the Galaxy. Now, this is not connected to the Marvel game they released last year. It's a single-player Guardians of the Galaxy where you play as Peter Quill. The debut trailer looked good, and then they went into like an extended game reveal, and I think that was them trying to be like open, like this is what the game is. I think that sort of hurt them. They spent too much time on it, and like you came in like, oh man, Peter Quill, Guardians of the Galaxy, I'm ready. And then halfway through, like, am I ready? Maybe I don't need this game, and you pulled back a bit. So honestly, moving forward, like, don't show me any more of this game until it's on store shelves. Like, don't talk about it. Put up screenshots. Maybe bump up the graphics. Say it's coming to another platform, but no more. Don't release any more gameplay. Don't release anything else except for maybe cinematics and a joke. Okay. How do you feel about this though?
So let me say, I bought the Avengers game. I was talking about it earlier. It was kind of like setting $60 on fire and saying, yay. And that's what I feel, because I was burnt so bad by Avengers by Square Enix that I never want to play another Marvel Square Enix game again. Like, that's how bad that game was, in my opinion. I know there's some people out there who love Avengers, but me, myself, the graphics sucked. The gameplay was not good enough to captivate me to play for another 8 to 10 hours. The bonus content sucked. I just did not care about it. And so when you introduce me into a Guardians of the Galaxy type of game, that's like, okay, y'all couldn't get it right on Earth. Y'all want to take this to space with everything out there that Marvel does. Y'all say, hey, we gave them that mid on Earth. Let's give them that mid out of space. Let me tell you, you're not giving me no more mid. Burn me with this game. I'm done. I am done. My time is too precious. I value my currency too much to waste it on a Square Enix Marvel game.
Well, see, you're gonna have to be waiting a while because, as we all know, Disney does not make games anymore. They don't have an in-house developer. That means they have to rely on other people to develop. And for Star Wars, they're branching out. But I think they continue to go back to Square because Square is in charge of what, Marcus?
Avengers.
No. What Disney property would Disney continue to go back to Square for?
I don't know.
Starts with a K.
I don't care.
Kingdom Hearts. They make Kingdom Hearts. And so they know how to work in the rules of Marvel, the strictest ones. That's why they keep going back to Square Enix for their Marvel stuff. Speaking of which, they announced there is going to be even more DLC for the Avengers game. We are going to Wakanda. War for Wakanda is dropping. The trailer looks pretty good. I like the new suit.
You can already get Black Panther in the game. Let me tell you, I don't want white people leading me anywhere in Africa, even if it's fake. You're not leading me to Wakanda. You're not leading me to the War of Wakanda. So let me tell you there, with the War of Wakanda, you're going to have like a Doctor Doom type of figure. And at least that's how it is in the comics.
Claw's the same villain.
Who?
Claw.
Yeah, nah. I'm cool. I'm cool on that. I'm cool on
also, it's not developed by white people, I don't think. It's Montreal, Canada.
Yeah, no. I'm not listening.
Square is a Japanese company. Watch yourself.
I'm not being led anywhere by anybody to a fake African nation when they couldn't even get Black Panther right. When you look at the,
I know you was still not on that. You didn't like Black Panther.
No. Square Enix did not get the Black Panther costume right. So when you don't get the costume right, why would I think you would get his world right? Like, I remember watching Black Panther.
Looks fine.
No, it doesn't. That is a trash.
That is a nice costume.
No,
that is a good costume.
I'm gonna put it in here, but it is a trash costume.
It's a good costume.
With Square Enix, it's like, if you can't get his costume right, why would I think you would be able to get the world of Wakanda right? Like, that is a tall order to task, and I don't think they can handle it.
I think they'll do fine. All right, here's one that's interesting. So, Platinum Games came out and they announced Babylon's Fall. Now, this is a multiplayer game, and it is a games as a service, which is new for Platinum Games. So, they're mostly known for their hack and slash abilities. They're in charge of the Bayonetta franchise. I know a lot of people are a bit down on it just because it is a live service game. But honestly, with Platinum, I'm interested to see what they can do with this. It's an interesting enough concept, and the look of it is so good. I feel like if they get the right direction for this, it's gonna be good.
No, I think Babylon's going to be good as well. I don't have much to add, but I'm definitely looking excited for this.
So, Final Fantasy Origins, which is the first 6 Final Fantasies, is getting a pixel remaster, Marcus. Only one caveat, it will be exclusive to mobile phones and devices.
Ooh.
Yeah, people are happy.
It's the have you seen the Lil Wayne picture where he's in the club holding his money? Like, ooh. I think that's where I'm at with it. Never, I feel like just with me, and just myself, I don't like using, the only game I like to play on my phone is Pokemon Go. Other than that, I'm cool on it. I just feel like I feel like mobile gaming is not for me. It's not for my generation. It's for that the generation after me.
Right here in the podcast, you should put that clip from Diablo Immortals announcement where everybody booted and then they told them, do you guys not have phones? It's hilarious. You got to look it up. All right, moving on. Life is Strange continues to chug on. They are making a remaster to Life is Strange.
That's the game. That's the game that was like, I said Life is Strange, and you looked at me crazy talking about 12 minutes. Life is Strange as well. Yes, I cannot wait for that. Yes, I love Life is Strange.
You love Life is Strange?
Yes, I do.
Okay. All right, so they're remastering Life is Strange and Before the Storm. And they announced the Life is Strange second sequel, Life is Strange True Colors, which stars a new protagonist, and her powers is that she is an empath compared to the last character who could change time. I think for the Life is Strange group, this is exciting for them. They haven't had a lot lately. So they eaten today. I don't think the remaster is needed. Like, it already looks amazing in its art style, but I guess it's just something to throw in there. They probably just changed the filter and moved on. But anything else on Life is Strange?
No, I'm good, man.
All right, Legends of Mana's remastering, that's coming out in June. And War Vision's Final Fantasy collaboration was announced. Those are the small things. Nier franchise is coming to mobile with Nier Reincarnate. I don't know enough about Nier, but I do know that people were excited for this. And then Hitman is getting a sniper game, which is weird that they're the ones publishing this, considering they don't own Hitman anymore. It's
Right.
owned by the people who make it, and they're working on a James Bond game.
And I think that's gonna be good.
Yeah, the James Bond game is gonna be good. But let's talk about the tentpole in cap. The most exciting thing they were ready to show off. Now, this one's going to be a mouthful. Strangers of Paradise Final Fantasy Origins. This is a spin-off reveal raised. Okay, so it's like a spin-off of Final Fantasy. So it's not a numbered Final Fantasy, but it's still sort of connected to Final Fantasy. It's like it's we don't have much information. It's an action-based Final Fantasy spin-off based on Final Fantasy Souls-like. So they're going for that Dark Souls-looking aesthetic, which it's being developed by Team Ninja. They're good at that. I'm interested to see what they do with the release.
No, for sure. I think this game will be good as well. Like I feel like this is going to take the franchise to the next level.
Overall, last year when Square Enix came out and said that they were going to have their own E3 showcase, people were like, why? And then they watched it and they were like, why'd you make us sit through that? This year they announced it. People were like, all right, we'll see what you got. They put up a fight. Not gonna say they had the best, not gonna say it was the strongest, but they came out swinging like Logan Paul, and just like him, at least they didn't get knocked out. That's all I gotta say.
Right. No, overall, what would you give this presentation?
A good 6 or 7.
Cool. Well, thank you for that, Meta. Once again, we are on day 2 of our E3 reactions. Make sure if you haven't already, you check out day 1 of our E3 reactions. We also have a new podcast coming, not a new podcast series, but we have a podcast coming out on Tuesday with my man X the Exiled. We're talking about one of my favorite comic book characters, Batwing. So be on the lookout for that. Make sure you're following the brand at 2016 Glencoe Media Network on Facebook, Instagram, on Twitter. We are 2016G. Make sure you are liking us, following us, subscribing on YouTube at 2016 Glencoe Media Network. Make sure you're following me on all social media platforms at Flow My Hero. Make sure you are following my co-host Metro Meta at Metro Meta 26 on all social media platforms. And until tomorrow, we'll holler at y'all later. Peace.